Understand it as I speak. Over the past 24 hours, there have been reports of heavy fighting right across the country. Ukrainian officials say Russian troops have entered Kharkiv, that is the country's second largest city. Officials also reported fighting and explosions on the outskirts of the capital here, Kiev, and of Sumy and Odessa. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claim they have completely blocked the strategic ports of Kherson and Berdyansk. In Kharkiv, Ukrainian local officials say street fighting has broken out in multiple areas of that city. A Ukrainian presidential aide claims half of Russian transporter vehicles have been destroyed, with civilians urged to stay inside after a nearby gas pipeline was blown up. And in Kiev, Zelensky's office reported an explosion at the Zhytomyr airport. Flames billowed into the sky after an oil depot near an airbase at Vasylkiv was bombed amidst intense fighting. Well, Security and Defence Editor Deborah Haynes is with me here. And Deborah, I mean, the fighting in Kharkiv is interesting. It seems to have, been changing hands in a night of intense firefights. It's so extraordinary what's happening. We're in day 4 now, and we've been told by Ukrainian and Western officials that the position that Russia finds itself in is absolutely not the position it had planned for. I think it had imagined that it would be able to have at least taken some cities by this point, but instead they're still battling for territory. And what we're seeing on the ground from pictures that are emerging from Kharkiv in particular today is intense firefights between the two sides. It seems, like you said, it's going back and forth. It's a battle right now, but it's incredibly important because up until now, the Ukrainian military has, you had the Foreign Secretary this morning saying that unexpected, or you can hear there's been a few booms here in Kiev as well as just now, that she said that she thought that the Russians would found the Ukrainian resistance a surprise, like the level of resistance. And of course, they're being buoyed by the fact that the Western world has rallied once again to give ammunition and weapons to the country. So this is not going in the direction that Russia wanted it to. And the worry is that they will then escalate the violence and there will be more indiscriminate fire as they try to achieve success in that President Putin has effectively bet his presidency on. We were broadcasting a week or so ago from Kharkiv, and it's so close to the Russian border, and it's crucial for Putin if he wants to, carve out another chunk of eastern Ukraine.
Yes, and also it's a Russian-speaking, majority Russian-speaking city, and I wonder if he really genuinely did imagine that his troops would be welcomed with open arms by Russian-speaking Ukrainians. If that is the case, he's clearly now had a rude surprise that absolutely has not been the reality on the ground. Hopefully it's a reality check. The information, the disinformation coming from Moscow in terms of justifying this whole operation. You talked about how the Ukrainian president had gone to the International Court of Justice and specifically talking about how Russia manipulated the term genocide to justify the actions in this country. And the reality on the ground is people here, it's an independent sovereign nation. Regardless of politics, people don't want invading troops tearing up their cities, which is what's happening now, including here in Kiev, where we're under curfew.